On our featured presentation this evening, the government has been working on regularizing the informal human settlement communities through the process of giving those settling on state-owned lands the opportunity to purchase these lands. The most recent of these offers was to people who have settled on state lands in the community of Carapan. They received their offer letters on April 23rd at an official ceremony attended by the API's Kathy Rose.
A number of people who have been residing on state-owned lands in the area of Carapan in the constituency of South Windward late last week received offer letters to purchase the lands they have been occupying at an official ceremony held at the Sinclair Dakin School grounds.
We here in South Windward and you, the people of Carapan, would feel very happy to know that for once and for all, that today offer letters would be given to you for the lands that you have been occupying for the last 25 and some of you 30 years at the going price of 50 cents per square foot.
The process of regulating this informal human settlement community was first initiated by former area representative Sir Vincent Beach, who admitted that it was no easy task.
When the Unity Labour Party took office, it was total chaos at Diamond down there. I'm giving you this as background because you might say, well, what has Carapan had to do with Diamond? For years, people occupied these lands there. When the lands were bought at first, they were bought so that agriculture could be carried out, from the school here. But you know what it's like. Agriculture today is not as it was 40, 50 years ago. But Vincentians have, I don't want to say a mania, they have this drive, how should I say? I don't want to use a derogatory term. But they have this way, every Vincentian wants to own a home and a good home. And they would make all the sacrifices necessary for this. And so people started to move in, and they were there without any legal possession. But under Prime Minister Gonsalves, and he coined the term, turning dead property into life capital, because people built substantial houses, but you couldn't go to the bank and borrow money on it. You couldn't even sell it because you didn't own the land. So you might have, the land might worth maybe $15,000, but you would have erected a house that cost $350,000. Since you didn't own the land, you couldn't dispose of the property. You couldn't do anything about it because who owns the land under our law is who owns the property. And we thought this was unfair. And the Prime Minister and his cabinet set out to rectify this. And that you're coming late, so to speak, because there are other areas in the leeward end, the windward end, where we have distributed parcels of land for people who were squatting in them for a long time. As Hans told you, you're going to be very satisfied with the price for this land. I'm leaving this anyhow to the representative and the Prime Minister to tell you. Except to say that once you're satisfied and you accept the offer, then we would also work towards getting the conveyance done, and so that you can get a proper deed for your land, which you would own, that you can will to your child, or you could sell, or you can do whatever it is if there's no covenant.
Member of Parliament for the area, Honourable Frederick Stevenson, took the opportunity to outline his achievements in the constituency during the last 4 years.
It is the policy of this government to ensure that persons who have been occupying state lands for many years can have title deeds to their lands. And what does that do for you? It ensures that you, once you take up the offer and you pay for your lands, you get your deeds, you can now go to the bank and negotiate a loan to do the improvements on your homes, to ensure that you can send your children to university. I want to, this afternoon, also say to you some of the work that has been done in the constituency over these last 4.5 years. A 20,000-gallon water tank was built for this constituency on Acres Hill to ensure that the people of Calder in the area of the Seventh-day Adventist Church can have water every single day. Before then, the people had to wake up in the nights at 11 and 12 and 1 to get some pipe-borne water. But now, you don't have to wake up because you have water there in abundance every single minute of the day and of the night. We have done street lights throughout the entire constituency, and those are some of the progress that we have made. For years, a road was promised to the residents in Top Hill, Bayabu. That road is there now, over 1,900 feet of concrete road. Years ago, the people had to, the sand for building their homes had to be dropped down the road about 500 feet away. And people had to tote them in bags on their heads to ensure that they get up to Top Hill. But trucks can go up there now. The ambulance goes up there if somebody's sick. The garbage truck goes up there to collect garbage. And the Christmas barrels are not opened anymore down the road so everybody can see what is in the barrels. The barrels go right to their homes and taken out so the neighbors cannot see what comes in the Christmas barrel. What a government! We have also done significant asphalting works in Warraku, just beyond the Argyle International Airport. You know what that area used to be. But now you can walk there and you can drive there with your eyes closed because the roads there have improved significantly. The number of persons in this constituency who would have received materials as part of the government public assistance program. A number of young persons throughout the constituency have been placed on the YES and the SET programs. And just beyond here, and a gentleman is sitting here, before the Honorable Prime Minister spoke of the Lives to Live program, we started constructing a 2-bedroom plywood house for an amputee, Mr. Edgerton York, who is sitting right in front here. His house is nearing completion, and I was hopeful that today we would have been able to hand him the keys to the house, but that would be done at a later date. Edgerton, bear with me for another week or two.
The atmosphere was celebratory, as one can only imagine, especially for those receiving the offer letters. To add to the mood, the gathering was entertained by the Southeast Steel Orchestra, one of the products of the Pan Against Crime program, initiated by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. While delivering the feature address, Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves stated that his administration had been addressing the housing needs of people of this country. He said that the philosophy of the ULP was one which was people-centered.
It is called social democracy. Social because it encompasses all the people, the rich and the poor, those who are professionals and those who are workers, business people and farmers, mothers and sons, fathers and daughters, Jews and Gentiles, everybody. It is social. And the essence of that social dimension of the philosophy is the upliftment of people, not the pulling down of people, not in bad talk in your country, but in lifting up people and lifting up the nation. That is what the social means. And the democracy relates to the participation of the people of the country in which good governance is demonstrated, where we are responsible to the people and responsive to them.
He then proceeded to list the components of his administration's housing program.
A low-income housing program. And I will mention what we have. But I'm listing all for us. We then have a housing rehabilitation program. Mind you, the low-income housing program is about 13, 14, 1,500 houses we have built already, you know.
Yes.
All over St. Vincent and the Grenadines. From Fancy to Fitzhugh and down in the Grenadines. Housing rehabilitation after storms. You ever hear in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, before the time of ULP, that when your house mash up in a hurricane or a storm, the government build back the house here?
Never.
If you ever hear that, I go sit down. Never. In fact, tomorrow, we're giving out 6 more houses in Canary. We're giving out on Monday 8 or whatever the number is in Caratal. And we have been doing it all throughout on the 8th of May. We're doing in hope to take care of the last set of people who in shelter. And then we give materials for people to reconstruct their houses after storm. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, we divide the houses in, depending on the damage. The most serious ones, level 4, we build it over here. Level 3, we rehabilitate it. Level 2 and level 1, we may give you some labor to help you with the materials too. And level 1, you just basic. If I'm wrong, how we correct me. Am I right? Yes. Then we distribute materials separate and distinct from the housing rehabilitation. We do that through the Ministry of Housing and through the Ministry of Social Development. Millions of dollars in housing materials distributed. Then, that's 1, 2, 3. Low-income housing, housing rehabilitation, materials distribution. What about the 100% mortgage for public servants? for the government employees, policemen, teachers, nurses, civil servants. Hundreds of houses have been constructed by public servants through the 100% mortgages. Then there's a lot of plenty land which we have about where there's no title. People occupy land. They occupy the land them. Generations depend on the land. There's a procedure which we set up called the Possessory Titles Bill. Brought it into an act which allow hundreds upon hundred people to get title for the land.
Some of the recipients expressed their gratitude to the government for its assistance in this regard.
Well, I'm a man of few words. And with the few words, I will include to say thank very much to the Prime Minister and government, members of cabinet, and not forgetting my area representative, Frederick Stevenson, who fight along with me all the way. I'm here to say him thanks.
And I bless Mr. Stevenson, and God will bless him evermore.